Good morning, good morning. It is Sunday, the 23rd of February 2025. I'm Graham Hughes. Welcome to the Sunday service. And today we're going to be talking about Jesus. Jesus Christ. Literally. Got me Bible. Got me old Bible here. Now, this is going to be a little bit unusual for people watching, I guess, because it's not something that I normally do. Normally don't refer to the Bible that much since I'm not actually a Christian. So I'll just put my cards on the table right now. I'm an atheist, but I was brought up a Christian, and I was a choir boy in the village church choir, and so spent a lot of boring old sermons, palming through the old Bible, and I've actually got a load of passages that are highlighted, especially in the Old Testament. There's some great stuff in here. Like, if a man, this is from Deuteronomy, if a man happens to meet a virgin who is not pledged to be married and rapes her, and they are discovered, he shall pay her father 50 shekels of silver, and he must marry the girl, for he has violated her. He can never divorce her as long as he lives. So there you go. It's just some weird stuff in here. But that's in the Old Testament. The New Testament is a bit better. It's not a lot better, but it's a bit better. And in it, there's a guy called Jesus who basically says that it would be really groovy if we were all, like, I don't know, nice to each other. I know, crazy, right? So they ended up executing him for saying that. So yeah, don't say that we should be nice to each other, because that's clearly never a good idea. Anyway, just want to say a quick hello to Koala Meat there. We've got Katrina Bryce, we've got Tripod, we've got Voxy Rules, we've got Genie Bottle. Hello, everyone. MHKO to the power to the people. Thanks for coming along. Didn't expect this many people, to be honest with you, since I didn't really do any advertising for this. So, we're just seeing how it goes. This is a new format. I want to make this a little bit different from Morning Brew. So I don't want to necessarily be talking about what's in the news. I want to be talking more about, I don't know, the philosophy of politics. Seems like a thing we could do on a Sunday. So maybe we will dip into the teachings of Rousseau and Voltaire and Confucius. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how much you enjoy doing this. But this week we're going to just concentrate on the teachings of Jesus as interpreted by his followers in the New Testament of the Bible, the Christian Bible. So and we're going to be looking at ways that Trump absolutely contradicts the teaching of Jesus in every way, shape, and form. Like, if you are a MAGA supporter, there is no way you're going to your heaven. The heaven that you believe in is going to be shut off from you for essentially supporting the Antichrist. So let's talk about Trump, right? He is the 7 deadly sins personified. But let's one of them being pride. Okay, so that's a big thing. If you ever seen the movie Seven, pride, and it also goes before a fall. So what did Jesus actually say in the Bible about pride? He said, for those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. That's from Luke chapter 14, verse 11. And Trump, meanwhile, consistently boasts about his wealth, intelligence, and accomplishments. He declared, I alone can fix it during the 2016 elections, and the 2024 elections, he went even further. And basically, he's decided that he's now king of America, and that he's the only person who can fix America, which is a standard trope for a fascist dictator, but it flies in the face of the teachings of Jesus. And then we've got compassion for the poor. This seems like a really obvious one for, anyone who has a cursory understanding of what it says in the Bible. It's actually bothered to read it. Sell your possessions and give to the poor, Jesus says in Luke 12, verse 33. Sell your possessions and give to the poor. Trump has instead of selling his possessions, he has completely disregarded the emoluments clause of the, being a president. You're supposed to put everything in a blind trust, which he doesn't do. He didn't do it last time, and he's not done it this time. And he's gone even further than that. He's put Elon Musk, in charge of the treasury, like in charge of the government budget of over $6 trillion to do with whatever he wants. Trump has cut food assistance programs, he's rolled back healthcare protections, and he's pushed massive tax cuts to the wealthy, which led to the biggest transfer of wealth from the middle class to the oligarchs, to these billionaires in human history. So yeah, not much compassion for the poor at all. And the attitude of the Republicans is very much with disdain for the poor. It's your own fault. It's not because of the place where you were born and the time you and the people you were born to. No, it's nothing to do with that. It's because you're lazy. You got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, they say. And then the treatment of immigrants and refugees. Jesus said, "I was a stranger, and you invited me in." That's from Matthew, verse 25. Chapter 25, verse 35. Trump has separated children from families. He's put children in cages. He's detained migrants in inhumane conditions. He has gone mad with securing America's borders, getting rid of any people there who are overstaying a visa, not letting people get a visa in the first place, and recently sent refugees, people who've done absolutely nothing wrong, to Guantanamo Bay, as if they were terrorists, as if they were Al-Qaeda terrorists. That seemed to be a punishment reserved for people who tried to destroy the Twin Towers in America, or did destroy the Twin Towers in America, or plotted to do so. Weren't they the people going to Guantanamo Bay? Like, why are women and children who have done nothing wrong going there? Because Trump thinks that you should treat immigrants and refugees like shit. The fact that he is pushing for total war across Europe. So he's going to give Putin everything he wants in Ukraine. And if that does go ahead and Europe doesn't put up a fight, then the next steps for Putin are going to be to try and make a corridor, a military corridor to Kaliningrad exclave of Russia, and also one across through Odessa in the south of Ukraine, cutting Ukraine off from the Black Sea. It will go from basically Kherson all the way to Transnistria in Moldova, and he'll take over a third of Moldova as well. Maybe more. Maybe he'll have an incursion into Romania as well. Maybe he'll have an incursion into Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, even Poland. Because who's going to stop him? So this Trump, although he's always portrayed by his followers as the guy who never started any wars, he's well on his way to starting the mother of all wars, a war across Europe like the likes we haven't seen for 80 years. We're going to be celebrating the 80th anniversary of VE Day, while the President of the United States is gung-ho for making another European civil war, which is arguably what, World War I and World War II were, happen again. So next one up is love for your enemies. So in the Bible, Jesus said, "But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." Love your enemies? Trump? He routinely insults his political opponents, referring to them as scum, animals, and the enemy within. Truthfulness, in the Bible, in Exodus, and this is going back to the Old Testament, "You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor." Exodus chapter 20, verse 16. Trump recorded over 30,000 lies in his first term of office, and he continues to spread false information regularly, going against the teaching, not just of Jesus, but, the 10 fucking commandments there. We've also got generosity versus greed. This is from Timothy, 1 Timothy. We've got, "For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil." I mean, does anyone love money more than Trump does? He's like the Joker in 1989 Batman. Money, money, money. Who do you love? Yeah, Joker. He's profited off his presidency through his business, overcharging the Secret Service and foreign dignitaries for accommodation at his properties. Well, maybe not overcharging them out of their own pocket, but overcharging the American taxpayer so that these foreign dignitaries and Secret Service agents can stay at his properties, Mar-a-Lago and the Trump Hotel in Washington, D.C. Another thing Jesus said, this is about servant leadership. So in the Bible, in Matthew 23:11, Jesus said, "The greatest amongst you will be your servant." And that's something that we talk about with, like, what's the point of leaders and stuff? They should be public servants. The government should work for us and be scared of us, because we can get rid of them. Trump has none of that. Trump promotes division, hatred, and bigotry, and he targets immigrants, minorities, and political opponents at a whim. You talk about loving your enemies. Trump does exactly the opposite of that. Then you got avoiding hypocrisy. God, honestly, this list is insane. Woe to you, the teachers and law of the Pharisees, you hypocrites, you give 1/10 of your spices, but you have neglected the most important matters of the law, justice, mercy, and truthfulness. That's from Matthew 23. Trump uses Christianity as a political tool, and he has displayed little understanding or adherence to Christian teachings. And like the idea of justice, mercy, and truthfulness, he's taken over the Justice Department. There is no justice for anyone who is incredibly rich, because they don't actually have to abide by the laws, and there's no justice for people who are incredibly poor because they can't afford to get the justice that they should be able to have. Mercy, does he have any mercy? Nope. Faithfulness, absolutely not. This is a guy who banged a porn star while his wife was at home pregnant with his kid. His third wife was pregnant at home with his kid. Imagine if that was a black guy doing that. Imagine if it was a black woman cheating on her third husband and getting pregnant with her, sixth child? And then protecting the vulnerable. Jesus said, truly I tell you, whatever you did for the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. So it's kind of like, there but by the grace of God go I, from A Tale of Two Cities. There but by the grace of God go I. And for a lot of us, when we sort of look at someone who is poor and not having a great time of it, our heart goes out to them, and we kind of think we could put ourselves in that position, But what Trump and his acolytes do is they look at Adolf Hitler and they go, oh, there but by the woke agenda go I. If only I could defeat the woke agenda, I could be Hitler too. Yeah, not really the protecting the vulnerable sort of side of what Jesus was preaching, really. And that, again, going back to the Old Testament, Exodus, the Ten Commandments, you shall have no other gods before me. Trump has cultivated a cult of personality amongst his supporters, which is often referred to as Trumpism, and he sells fucking golden shoes, for Christ's sake. How close is that to a golden calf? Which is basically in the Bible, Moses went up Mount Sinai to get the Ten Commandments, and the people, when they were waiting for him to come back down with the Ten Commandments, they got bored, and so they started worshipping a golden calf. Avoiding blasphemy. This is from the Bible. Whoever blasphemes against the Holy Spirit will never be forgiven. So that's me. That's me screwed. That's from Mark 3:29. Trump famously awkwardly held a Bible up for a photo op, showing very little genuine respect for religious symbols, and he cleared a crowd of people in quite a brutal way in order for him to walk to go and get that photo op. In the Bible, Jesus said, "Let little children come to me," which is a bit concerning considering all the shit that the Christian Church and the Church of England have done over the years. But I guess the idea was, and maybe it was lost in translation, was that you're nice to kids, you love kids, you're not horrible to them. Meanwhile, Trump has separated children from their parents at the border, and some of those kids never got reunited with their parents. They still don't know where their parents are, or where the kid, because the kids had no documentation on them. Absolutely disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. Honesty and integrity. So in the Bible, in Proverbs, actually, in the Old Testament, the Lord detests lying lips, but he delights in people who are trustworthy. Yeah. So, Trump is often caught in lies, both trivial and significant, which undermine trust and integrity. 30,000 lies in his first term of office. He's already told about that many in his second term of office so far. He's only been in a month. Humility in leadership. When pride comes, then comes disgrace. But with humility comes wisdom. Is there any humility in Trump? I don't think so. He's shown little humility, often attacking people who criticize him, including veterans, journalists, public officials. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He's got no humility at all. I'm leading up to a point here, which you can probably guess already, but this guy he's not a follower of Jesus. He's a follower of something else, but we'll come to that in a moment. Advocating for justice. So Isaiah, this is back in the Old Testament, learn to do right and seek justice, defend the oppressed. And this is, like Jesus, you can't just draw a line between the Old Testament and the New Testament. Obviously, Jesus was drawing off the teachings of the Old Testament and giving them a new twist, New Testament. But the foundation of his religion, he was Jewish, come from the Ten Commandments and come from these books in the Bible. Learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed. That's from Isaiah. Trump disbanded the task force investigating Russian oligarchs in just the last week or so. He's abandoned international human rights efforts. He's not just pulled America out of the International Criminal Court. America wasn't part of it. He's sanctioned the people who work for it. And he's undermined the rule of law completely. He's by taking over all these judges and ruling by edict, as a king in a country that's supposed to not have a king. That was his famous thing. Leapshin saying, "Hey Graham, what's up with the Bible preaching? I always get enough preaching from Doctor Who, lol." Hey, listen. Leapshin, I'm not religious. I'm looking at this in entirely sectarian eyes. I'm looking at what the character in this book said and how the people who claim to follow this person who says stuff in this book, how they can claim to be actually upholding what the guy said while supporting Donald Trump is just bonkers. Also in the Bible, in Romans, in the New Testament, if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Whereas Trump has encouraged violence at his rallies, he's supported extremist groups and amplified divisive rhetoric. And then the last point here is the dangers of the Antichrist, like in Revelation, which is nonsense. I mean, Revelation, it used to be called Apocalypse, didn't it? Was it Apocalypse before it was Revelation? But yeah, in Revelation, it said the beast was given a mouth to utter proud words and blasphemies and to exercise its authority for 42 months. Wow. That might end up being absolutely bang on. Who knows? Obviously, 42 months is about 4 years. Yeah, not far off. 48 months being 4 years. Maybe he'll be cut off a few months early. 42 months. That's from Revelation chapter 13, verse 5. Trump fits in the mold of a false prophet or Antichrist figure by promoting lies, idolizing himself, going on about how great he is, and leading others astray. In fact, I would go so far as to say that Trump personifies the biblical Antichrist as laid out in Revelations to a T, to an absolute T. It's as though he's gone through the book and tried to work out the best way to personify the beast, the Antichrist, the Omen, Damien, 666, Damien Thorne, Donald Trump, same number of letters in each name, same initials. Yeah, Coinky Dinky? Don't think so. So, I mean, what would Jesus say to like the MAGA crowd? I mean, like he got a bit in the Bible here in Matthew where he says, "Woe to you, hypocrites." That doesn't sound too good, does it? And he said in Matthew, the term "salt of the earth" that comes from the Bible, that comes from Matthew. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? Hey, just a bit of a weird thing to say, but whatever. And the line from Matthew, which I think really rings true in this instance, is, "For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink." I mean, I think anyone who voted for MAGA, voted for Trump, the idea that they're going to go into their, into their heaven is absolute lunacy. Because if they read their handbook on how to construct their sofa or how to get into their heaven, like there's literally nothing in here which says the way that they are behaving is going to endear them to get St. Peter to open the pearly gates. And the most pertinent one for me is the passage where Jesus says, it is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle, like something that's pretty impossible, than for a rich man to enter heaven. And there's been some reinterpretation of this line over the years. You get these people going, oh, he didn't really mean, that he didn't really mean that he was going to, stop rich people from getting into heaven. What it was there was a place in the wall going into old Jerusalem that was very small, and it was called the Eye of the Needle because it was such a small passageway. And if you were going through there with your camel, you basically had to take off all the bags off the side of the camel, so the camel didn't have that much stuff on it. But obviously you could stuff a load of gold coins between its hump and its head, I guess. I don't know. But like, no. That's what he said. He said eye of a needle. He didn't say the eye of the needle. He said a eye of, like, like just any needle. Not like it was a thing, He didn't say the eye of the needle, like there was a place called the Eye of the Needle. It didn't have capitals. But yeah, those sort of mealy-mouthed reinterpretations of what it actually says in the freaking book is one of the reasons why we are here at the moment. There is a thing in America called the Prosperity Bible, which is kind of like the Bible rewritten for people, or reinterpreted so people can have loads and loads of money and shit on the poor and behave like a grotesque barbarian. And, they can feel good about it. They feel like they're going to go to their heaven, which they're not. If heaven exists, they're not going to it. They're going to burn in hell for all eternity for voting for Donald Trump. Sorry to tell you this, mate. I mean, it's not too late to change your ways. Apparently, Jesus and God are quite forgiving people. Well, the God of the Old Testament isn't forgiving at all. But the New Testament, Jesus apparently is quite forgiving, or so I'm told. Anyway, a super chat's just come in. Thank you very much to Tripod 9000. Jesus basically spoke about wealth redistribution and being nice to others. If he came back today, in somewhere like Texas, they would call him rogue and crucify him all over again. Yep, I absolutely 100% agree with you there. David says, sell all you have, give to the poor and follow me. Gov says, sounds like Monty Python. Yes, it does. What about the saltiness? That's a weird one, isn't it? The Welsh version. Victoria says, morning, Graham. A bit joining. A lot of Christian commentators and Bible have condemned Trump. Well, not enough, especially down in the deep South in America, where they have used the Bible. They've conflated the Bible and the Ten Commandments with Trumpism, with MAGAism. There's a place in America where every school has to have a copy of the Bible in every classroom, and it has to be the Trump Bible, which has the Ten Commandments written out the back, and the Constitution, and it's signed by Donald Trump. Like, it's honestly the most horrific, like, mashup of commercialism and capitalism with religion. I mean, you thought it was bad the way that, in some churches they pass around a collection plate and make millions from the people who have got bugger all so they can buy themselves a nice new stained glass window. You might have thought that was a bit bad, but oh my God, this is another level. And I think it's really important to sort of expose this to people. I mean, I guess we all know. I mean, we're all pretty smart here, and we all sort of, understand the idea that Jesus was a guy in history. Whether he existed or not is another matter. Like, who apparently said some nice things. Like Confucius said some nice things. Like Buddha said some nice things. All three of them said, do unto others as you would like others to do to you. The golden rule. Like, I mean, yeah, it is a bit mad. There was a line. I don't know who it was. It might have been Richard Dawkins, who I'm not particularly fond of these days, but it was quite funny. He was like talking about Moses going up the mountain and getting the Ten Commandments and being like, oh, we shouldn't kill. Oh shit. Oh fuck. Oh, we didn't have that rule till he just pointed it out to us. We didn't have that rule. Don't know how we functioned as a society without that rule. And that's the thing. Like, There are undiscovered tribes in in Brazil, on the Andaman Islands, in Papua New Guinea, who know that they don't kill each other within the tribe. I mean, they might go and kill another tribe. That's, fair enough. They're another tribe. But within your clan, no, you don't kill each other, because then the clan just falls apart. And there has to be some kind of restorative justice if someone does commit murder. That seems like innately understandable to most humans. And although I wouldn't kill someone because I just couldn't stomach it, there are people out there who would kill someone if there wasn't a law telling them that they couldn't kill someone. And there wasn't a civilization on Earth in which murdering people was seen as okay. Murdering people was like, oh, sorry, I accidentally murdered him. I mean, the rich and the powerful have probably got away with it for a long time. And in the past, before we had modern detective methods, it probably was a bit more difficult ascertaining who actually committed the crime. But it's been a crime in every society that's been successful everywhere in the world. They didn't need Moses to come down the mountain with the Ten Commandments for people to know that murdering people is wrong. We know that. We absolutely know that. And so what Trump does is he allows all these people who believe themselves to be Christian to ignore the rules, the teachings of the person who created Christianity, the roles of Jesus. And I know the words of Jesus. And I know that we say that Jesus definitely, was one of these guys who wouldn't hate anyone. I think he would hate Donald Trump. I think he would absolutely despise him. I think he would say, "Get thee behind me, Satan." In the same way that he went toe to toe with the Antichrist, apparently in the desert before he got crucified and stuff. I just, yeah. Got some other great lines in the Bible where it's kind of like it goes against everything that Trump is saying and doing. When did Jesus okay genocide? He didn't. It's sad to see how Richard Dawkins has fallen, says Ishtar. Yeah, there was a line that he said like last year where he was talking about intersex people and the fact that there's so few of them, so they can be disregarded or something. Which I thought was mad. Maybe there's only a few thousand intersex people on the planet, of a population of 8 billion. Maybe it is incredibly, incredibly rare, but it doesn't mean they don't exist, Richard. There's only 121 Tory MPs. Doesn't mean that Tory MPs don't exist. You weirdo. But he's gone down that whole anti-trans bigotry fucking thing, hasn't he? In his old age. So yeah, not great. Not great. Don't idolize anyone. That's what I'll say. Ishtar says, I'll say it again. It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. No, despite what you might have heard, it means exactly what it says. Yeah, exactly. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Yeah, absolutely. Gordon Hunter says £850 for an MOT. Bloody hell, mate. What? That's disgraceful. He said to them, this is from Ishtar, my house will be called a house of prayer, but you are making it a den of robbers. Yeah. Ishtar's got some great lines here that Jesus said that could be applicable to Donald Trump. Imagine Jesus seeing the mega churches where they sell all sorts of scams and trinkets. Yeah, absolutely. Gallifreyan Ren, not going to lie, the mental image of a trans avenging angel is awesome. Count me in. That sounds brilliant, Lucy and Gallifreyan Ren. I'm all up for that. Alan saying James 2-5, or James, what's that, chapter 2, verse 5? Hearken, my beloved brethren, hath not God chosen the poor of this world rich in faith and the heirs of the kingdom which he hath promised to them, that he loves them? Yeah, I mean, there's a whole thing in the Bible about Jesus not being happy with people making money out of religion. I mean, he went into the temple and he turned over the tables and he whipped the money changers in the temple. Like, he was not happy with people making money. One of the big things that Jesus had a problem with was the idea that you paid for forgiveness. So this is where things come full circle, because he was pissed off because this idea that if you were mates with a priest or you had enough money, the priest could forgive you of your sins. And he was like, well, that's not fair, is it? Which is not. And so then people set up a church around the teachings of this guy, Jesus. And in part of that teaching was that you had to give a tenth of your income to the church. And then you'll be forgiven by the priest if you needed to be forgiven for something that you'd done. And I'm like, I've always hated that. I've always hated the idea of A, paying for forgiveness. And also B, I hate the idea that a priest or a vicar or whoever can forgive you. No. No. If you've done something really horrible to someone else, right? The only person who can forgive you is that person that you did something horrible to, right? Surely that's the case. I mean, really? I mean, yeah. Jesus would have turned Trump and his cronies out of the temple, says me mum. Yes, absolutely, mum. You're absolutely right. And you know, this whole thing of like humility and avoiding materialism. In the Bible, in Matthew 6:19, Jesus said, "Do not store up for yourselves treasure on earth, where moths and vermin destroy." Do not store up for yourself treasures on earth. Musk and Trump are going on a tour of Fort Knox next week, I think. Like a pair of kids, you know, like, oh, let's go see the gold. And yeah, I mean, live at peace with everyone. And Trump doesn't do that. Trump does the exact opposite of that. He's always at war. He's always at war with his opponents. And yeah, I mean, there's other examples in the Bible. Galatians. There is neither Jew nor Gentile, nor slave nor free. There is not, nor is there male and female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. So Trump has a long history of misogyny, misogynistic remarks and actions, including boasting about sexual assault, including being an adjudicated rapist. But also, I mean, like, you know, they're saying nor is there male and female. Great, you know, so you can be either, both. What you decide, that's great. But in Trump's America now, they've got things set up where if you have your pronouns on your bio in the university course that you're on, you'll be chucked off the university course that you're paying for. That's the free speech that Donald Trump advocates for. Greed and corruption. Woe unto you, the teachers of the law and the Pharisees, you hypocrites. I've read this one. You clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside they are full of greed and self-indulgence. That's from Matthew. And yeah, Trump's been involved in numerous scandals, including business practices and misuse of charitable funds, of course, for which Steve Bannon went to jail for stealing money off people who were giving Steve Bannon money to build, or supposedly Donald Trump money to build the wall that they were going to build. Remember the wall? Yeah, that we all seem to have forgotten about now. We're not going to build a wall. Okay. How'd that wall building go for you? Oppression of the week. The Lord is a refuge for the oppressed, in a stronghold in times of trouble. That's from Psalms. Trump's policies often harm the vulnerable, including his cuts to healthcare and welfare programs. Vanity and self-worship. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves. Humility. That's in Philippians. Trump demands loyalty and praise all the time, often prioritizing his image over good governance or any kind of, you know, sensible governance. And then and he encourages division. And this is true for the whole United States. This is all true for the whole world. If a house is divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And that's in Mark. And America is that house at the moment. It's divided by Trump. Trump's rhetoric has deeply divided America, creating hostility, distrust among communities. He's broken family links. People don't talk to their parents or their uncles and aunties, grandparents. They don't talk to their kids. They don't talk to their grandkids, whatever it is. People have fallen out with their neighbors, with their colleagues, with their old school chums. Like, people have fallen out all over America over this because it matters. It's not just a case of, you know, whether you're centralist right or centralist left, where you think there should be more taxes on the rich and maybe you should be giving more in social security to people who are poor or not. This is fundamental. Like, Trump is trying to kill people that disagree with him. He's trying to kill people that disagree with him. And this is why Trump's actions over the decades, not just since he became president, but over the decades, there's a consistent pattern of behavior that is antithetical to the teachings of Jesus. He embodies pride, greed, deception, cruelty, all traits that the Bible, Jesus warns against, especially in leaders. It's time to call out this hypocrisy and of those who claim Trump as a Christian leader. It's time to, for those people to, be told the true meaning of their gospel that they claim to believe in. Like, I don't believe this stuff, but I lead a more Christian life than a lot of these so-called Christians who go to church every week, who think they can act like a bunch of barbarians. But it's okay because I go to church and I put a tenner on the plate each week. I'm guarded against the whole judgment of heaven. And it's this mad thing of like, what, do they think they're going to get a really good lawyer? Do they think they're going to get it's going to be like a matter of life and death where there's a court thing and they say, well, I wasn't really rich, although my house was worth over £1 million and I did have 17 cars and I did go on a cruise with the family every other week. I wasn't a rich person really, was I? I mean, if you think about it, yeah, you were. You're not coming into heaven. Oh shit. It's not a take at all. It's right there for all who have understanding, says Gulf. We've got Blue Badger saying, if Jesus saw the mega church, he would first be surprised once how much they were taking, and then he would make water into Molotov rather than wine. Reminds me of the sketch called Gandhi 2. Alan says, James, go now, you rich men, weep and howl for the miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of... Oh, we got cut off there, Alan. But yes, indeed. How easy would it be to fill a golf course with landmines? Well, Lucy, I mean, we were talking on the show about invading one of Trump's golf courses and then saying that we invaded it, so it's ours now. I'm using the same rhetoric, the exact same rhetoric, the exact same words that Trump and Putin have used to justify the brutal and grotesque invasion of Ukraine. We could use those same excuses for invading one of Trump's golf courses and squatting there, I guess. Koala meat. What Bannon was in jail was the first time he's seen a shower in years. He is disgusting. He's a disgusting man. And he was there at the Conservative CPAC conference this week, doing a Hitler salute. But it was like a kind of like half-arsed Hitler salute because he can't get his hand up that high. Actress Hunter Schafer has hit out at Trump after she had her passport returned with white male markers. This is Hunter Schafer from Euphoria, who's... I don't know, why they want to do this. I saw a great clip, actually, the other day on TikTok, and it was a woman addressing a male speaker, male chairman at a committee, and she referred to him as Madam Chair. And he's like, whoa. My preferred pronouns are... And she went, no, sorry, you've said that we don't have to respect your preferred pronouns, and I'm going to call you Madam Chair. And the guy was like, raging, but there's nothing he could do about it. And this is what we need to ensure, is that all of these mofos are hoisted by their own petards. Whatever they have invented, whatever crazy, nasty, disgusting rules they've come up with, these edicts from Donald Trump, we need to turn them around. We need to turn them around and fire them back at them. Like 10 times over. So, okay, you've made this rule that says I can do this. Okay, well, I'm going to do... And we need to do that. We absolutely need... Well, the Americans need to do that. There's not much we can do over here, except boycott. Boycott America. Quiet quit America. Ishtar says, but the youth looking on him loved him and began to beseech him that they might be with him. And going out of the tomb, they came to the house of the youth, and for he was rich. And after 6 days... Oh, Ishtar, don't leave us in suspense. Katrina says, in the Hitman 3 World of Assassin video games, there is an exploding golf ball item. Just saying. What else have we got in there? Ishtar says, Jesus told him what to do in the evening, and the youth comes to him wearing a linen cloth over his naked body, and he remained with him that night. For Jesus taught him the mystery of the kingdom of God, and thence arising, he returned to the other side of the Jordan. Well, there you go. Gulf says, I hope the whole Yahtzee bullshit doesn't have to run its course. I only have 2,000 rounds. Paul says, anyone read Small Gods by Terry Pratchett. That's where people stop believing in certain gods, isn't it? And they derive their power from how many people believe in them, which I always thought was a great concept. I don't know when Small Gods came out. Was it the 90s, was it? Small Gods. Small Gods, 1992. Yeah. So yeah, the idea of, like, I always like the idea of gods having more power the more people believe in them. And so there's these gods who no one believes in anymore that, like, don't have any power to do stuff because just no one believes in them, but they're still there. I had a concept many moons ago for, like, a sketch which was called Battersea God's Home, and it was all those gods who have no power anymore, and, like, you know, poor old Thor couldn't get his hammer up, and Venus, she was a faded beauty, and a little girl goes to the Battersea God's Home with her dad to pick a new god to replace the one that's just died. And yeah, so you could obviously rip the piss out of this whole idea of belief and how it all works. Roxy will says, Graham is, I say, far from it, Roxy. But yeah, that's it. I mean, I just wanted to do a short show today because Alex has really annoyingly started putting his Sunday roast shows on at 9:45. So they should be at 10 o'clock, Alex. I'll have words with him. And I got caught out by this last week when I was actually on the Sunday roast. It was like someone put in the chat, whoever it was, thank you, said, Graham, the show's on already. You need to go over there. So if you keep watching this channel, after the credits, you'll be automatically transferred over to the Sunday roast, which starts in a minute's time. But before we go over there, I'd just like to say a big thank you to everyone who's watched today. In conclusion, Trump is the Antichrist. Anyone who supports him, anyone who follows him is not going to heaven. End of. Lucy, big hi to you, and Gordon, Gulf Marine. Thanks to Ishtar for the Bible verses. Thanks to Alan as well for those as well. Thanks to Power to the People, Commander DJ Burp, Oxy Rules, obviously, and GD Bottle and Paul B. In Small Gods, part of the point of the church keeps on going when the God has gone. Yeah, indeed. And Gallifreyan Wren says, I'm partial to Athena myself. Gotta love a badass protector lady. What did Athena? Wasn't she a huntress as well? Or was that Artemis? Terry Pratchett's Monstrous Regiment is another good one, showing what happens when gods lose the beliefs of worshippers. I think that's what I was getting it mixed up with. Or I think there was a whole thing of, like, gods having less power. If I might have just made this up. It was a long time ago, but I'm sure there was a thing in Terry Pratchett where the gods who no one believed in anymore didn't have any power because no one believed in them. Or maybe I'm getting it mixed up with something else. I don't know. Kashina Tam. Oh, wow. Thank you for the last super chat of the morning. Thank you. Charity is good for the soul and karma. It also makes the world a better place. Anyway, here's some money. Oh, thank you, Katrina. Really appreciate that. Passing around the collection plate there. Artemis was the hunter. I thought it was. I've been to the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus in Turkey, which was one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. But unfortunately, it got burned down by a lunatic who burnt it down to be famous for burning it down. Yes, and if you said his name, apparently you got your tongue cut out or something. It was really horrible for the first few hundred years. But we still know his name to this day. So, yeah, thanks. You didn't do a very good job of making us forget the person whose name who burnt down the bloody Temple of Artemis at Ephesus. I don't know. Right. You're welcome, says Alan. You're welcome. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all the thanks for all the messages from the socialites there in the chat. Thank you for the super chats, especially. Thank you, Katrina. I would just like to say thanks for sticking with the channel. I will be back this evening. I think I'll do a little bit of GeoGuessr. Should we play Where the Fuck Are We? Shall we? Yeah, I think we should. So we'll do that this evening. So I'll put that up so you know when that's going to be. But whatever happens, I will be back in the morning for Morning Brew at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Please join me for that. And then we'll be doing Stateside with Mikey in the evening. So please join us for that as well. We've got a lot to get through. There's a lot to get through. And until then, I'll say thank you so much for watching. Give us a like on the way out. And until next time, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.